Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Anime Crossing, where a bunch of nerdy ass weebs sit around discussing anime. With me today, as usual, I have some beautiful people.
Hey everybody, I'm the Bane's hero.
It's Baja Irish Rico.
It's Ryan, man. What's going on?
Hey, what's up? It's Nate.
Hey, it's Viggy. How's it going?
And I'm Ish, and on today's episode, we're going to be discussing Dorohedoro, which is quite a crazy anime. And let's start with the usual. Go around and get everybody's sort of general opinion, high level. No need to talk about anything in detail. And then based on how we kind of see that feedback, we'll kind of dive in and dive deeper. So let's go with you, Josh.
Yo, so Dorohedoro, I kind of got the feeling that the art styling was gonna kind of give me a little bit of insight as to what I could expect. All of my expectations were pretty much thrown out the window within the first few minutes of the first episode, which is kind of crazy. I was expecting the art style to be similar to is Kiki's delivery service? Is that Ghibli? Yeah. Is it? Okay.
Yeah, you're
Well,
correct.
That is
correct.
that
That
is
is
the Ghibli
correct.
one.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was expecting that kind of art, and I was like, oh no, it's it's pretty far from it. Yeah, I mean, at first I had a hard time like accepting everything because it was just so wild and out there. But then slowly but surely the mystery aspect of things just kind of unraveling just grabbed my attention, and I wanted to know what the reason behind certain things were. Like, why are there people with like mixed body parts, almost like a hybrid, or a weird twisted animorphs? Like they only halfway morphed. But yeah. Overall, I kind of liked it. It As far as the first season goes, it wrapped up with me still wanting more. Yeah, I think I would. I think I would still like it more if it continued. As far as going into the manga and stuff, I don't really like the art style. But they have interesting designs. I don't. I'm kind of on that middle ground when it comes to that. But yeah. I think I'd like to hear what everyone else has to say.
The show was like really up my alley. It just had so much personality, creativity, and uniqueness to it, mixed into like a seinen, which is just really like what I enjoy. The core mystery of the show keeps you interested in the story, but the characters are what keeps you coming back, in my opinion. And I think they did a really good job of that. It's definitely a very early part of a bigger story, and you can tell by kind of a somewhat abrupt end, in my opinion. But overall, I enjoyed the show a lot.
So you can probably tell that I'm going to enjoy this show because I'm actually going to remember the names of the characters, unlike the other 5 podcasts where I don't remember any of them.
Damn.
Where I don't remember absolutely any of them. So like, I love this show. Like, I think the animation like was pretty good. The art style was definitely nice for me, and a lot of people didn't like it, which I can understand why. But I thought it was still good. I love like the intros, the outros, the musics, the game sneak peeks that they do with all of them. I thought it was really really nice. The mystery itself, it got really interesting. I kind of like how they threw you into the beginning where you didn't know who was top side, who was bottom side. Stuff like that. Who was in the hole, who was in the sorcerer's places, and it was just kind of like all thrown in your face. And you're like, what the hell's going on? And then as they start progressing through the story, it gets like a lot more interesting. You get to learn more about Nikaido and all the other people, and then obviously you get to my favorite character, which is Kikurage, which is the little dog, which in reality is my favorite character.
Nice.
But but I love the dog. But no, she's not really my favorite character. But I had to throw in a little funniness there. But yeah, no, I think it wrapped up pretty nicely, and I definitely want to see more. It's definitely on my alley, just like Baha said. It was worth it in my opinion.
So I
No.
I landed in the middle.
Here we
Just
go.
because
I was expecting
God damn it.
auto-tune.
no.
Here we go.
Legit, I landed such in the middle because, like, animation wise, to do 3G, like 3D animation like that, like the moment I kept seeing it, it felt like Berserk. And I've never seen Berserk, but I've seen like
Distracting?
bits and pieces here. And I was just kind of like, okay, I can get behind this. It's okay. It's cool. And for the most part, like the models were really well, and I was like, all right, it's not that bad. I can get behind this. But legitimately, this show had me confused on every episode. I like every other minute, I was just kind of like, wait, why did we just jumped to wait, what the fuck just happened? We were just dealing with this. But we just jumped to this, and I would have to rewind it to make sure I didn't miss anything. And no, it's just that that's just how they're telling the story. And there were good things, there were bad things. I think that is still worth the try, but very much like how Baha said earlier, it was an abrupt ending, and a lot of the episodes felt like that. Like it was just a random story, like abruptly happening, and you're just in the middle of it all. So I feel like this is the setup, like Ryan said, of a bigger story. But I just don't. I don't know. I was confused, and it was really hard for me to follow like the characters. I like they were likable, but like I just wasn't. I was so confused as to okay, who should I cheer for? Do I cheer for the sorcerers? Do I cheer for Kaiman and Nikaido? Do I like what is good? What's bad? What's actually happening here?
I
And
feel that's
it
the
just
strength of it, though.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just to me the thing is, and it's kind of bad, especially after what I'm about. Like you, some of you will know or what I'm about to say. So like to me, it felt like it kept throwing you a mystery, and they were this close to delivering, and then they didn't deliver. And it's just kind of like, okay, it's a setup. All right, we're gonna do the good shit. Nah, we're not gonna go deeper into that. Let's jump into something else. To me, that felt like a little bit kind of like the J.J. Abrams aspect of it. Like, we're going to focus on the mystery, and that's that. And that kind of turned me off of the show a little bit. Don't get me wrong. Still kind of enjoyed it because, you know, badass animations, people fighting. That was pretty cool. And the music, actually, the intros were pretty fucking enjoyable. So, like,
Intros and outros, yeah.
yeah, they're really enjoyable. So I was just kind of like, I don't know. I'm landing, like, right in the middle of the show, to be completely honest with you. So I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm just okay. If a season 2 comes out, I'll give it a time.
Are we talking?
You know,
are we talking J.J. Abrams like the
like
good?
No, like
the
mystery
good, like-
box.
So,
The 10 Cloverfield Lane good?
No, he
We're
didn't make that
talking-
one.
We're talking
Wait, he
Rise of
didn't?
Skywalker.
He
kind
produced?
of mystery.
Did he produce that one?
So whoever here is in charge of the uploads, I think it's David. He can add the link in the description or something. But Nate
To the
was apparently
video.
referring to a
Yeah.
TED talk delivered by J.J. Abrams a few years ago, explaining his mystery box concept. Which
Oh,
Nate
okay. I don't
here,
know
as
this
a person with a writing background, was
Yeah.
kind of pissed off at, and the rest
Very.
of us found the talk very well. I mean, we're not even writers, and we found it kind of dumb. So that's just to give the audience some background here.
But yes, I mean, those were my thoughts for the most part. It just felt like there was a mystery, and we never got it. They just kept it in mystery. Maybe it's just the way that they're telling the story, but it was a lot of what turned me off about it. So, but I still say I land in the solid middle. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I'm okay with it.
I can agree with that. I'm a little bit more towards I like it more than I'm like in the middle, but yeah, I mean it's good character writing in my opinion.
But what do you think, Viggy?
So I actually really overall liked it a lot. Just because like the show is very unapologetic in that it is what it is, and you
True.
have to meet it at its flow. You cannot like. So a lot of anime these days will like bend over backwards to be accessible. I feel like you'll get this giant exposition dump, and they'll repeat things multiple times, and then until you like once the show feels comfortable, you've understood it, then it moves on. This thing doesn't know or care whether you're keeping up or not. It's just gonna be like, alright, we're gonna do these things, and you kind of have to deal with it. But it was refreshing in that, like, it assumed I was smart and like was able to keep up, and whenever I actually couldn't keep up, it was intentional. Like, the show clearly knew that there's no way the watcher can keep up with this. We just want them to get soaked up into the chaos. So it felt kind of liberating in that sense. And the recaps at the end of the shows, usually most of us skip those, but in this one, it's actually kind of helpful because
Yeah, it definitely is.
because they actually are like, all right, here are the 4 facts we actually just wanted you to know. Everything else was just experiential at minimum, and if you actually kept up, good for you, you'll notice things later. But from a bare minimum standpoint, these are the things that we want to make sure you understand. So,
Oh,
in that structural sense, it was enjoyable. Overall, I liked how unapologetic the show was in terms of themes, characters, and there are a lot of surprises everywhere, both in terms of the mystery and in terms of it plays with tropes a lot, in which they'll introduce a character, you'll assume something, and then like the episode right after, you're like, okay, I was not expecting that interaction and or relationship to come of this, but you know what? Sure, Dorohedoro. So it was kind of fun to watch. I loved it.
Sorry. I was kind of curious if everyone could kind of say if you watched subbed or dubbed. I for one watched it in dubbed.
Get out of here! No, I'm just kidding.
Hey.
I was like, no, I'm kidding. I
Beastars
kid.
dubbed though, and it worked out well. But
No,
The dub actually has the dub has some good voice actors. Like, it has Mikoto's voice actor from Persona and stuff like that.
I
but
actually watched it sub.
I watched the sub too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same here. I didn't even know there was a dub until people like, and I was already halfway through. Yes, he's like, oh hey,
it's a Netflix
there's a dub.
anime.
There's a dub version. I was like, time out.
Normally, the only dubs that I watch is like Fate Zero related, but like other than that, no. I have Full Metal. That's it. Those are the only 3 I've really watched.
Hell yeah, dude! I love the Full
I
Metal
give it
dub.
a try if it's on Netflix to see if it like is decent, and if not, I will. And I hear anything similar to Black Clover, I'm like, whoop, subtitle.
Do the voice. Do the Black Clover voice. Bro, it's horrifying.
Rip
That's
our
more of a shriek than a voice.
I need to hear Isha's opinion,
our
though.
listeners are rip our listeners. Like,
All right. So, yeah, I liked it. I'm not like, I wouldn't give it like, like a 10 out of 10 or anything like that, but definitely more on the positive end for me as well. The kind of worlds where like you don't understand anything that's going on and it's batshit insane is definitely up my alley. Like Kekkai Sensen is one of my favorite shows of all time, and this gave me huge Kekkai Sensen vibes, which by the way, if you guys haven't seen it, highly recommend. The world's just as batshit insane, and the mystery in this one does keep you interested. I wouldn't say it's like the strongest hook. Like David said, I was hooked more by the world itself and the characters. Like the mystery of like who Kaiman is, I don't know, like amnesia cases and stuff like that are kind of overplayed a little bit. But I still am interested to see what happened to him, obviously. But like, I'm more interested in how the world of like sorcerers and non-sorcerers works. What is the whole exactly? Like, is it like a parallel dimension? Like, is the world sorcerer from the original place? Like, there's a lot of stuff they could dive into deeper that we haven't seen yet. Shin and Noi are my favorite characters by far. Absolutely love them.
Same.
I would give anything to see both of them on screen the entire time. Quite frankly, this show, I'm rooting for not Kaimon, surprisingly. Like, I feel like he's the weakest character, even though he's like the quote unquote main character. And in reality, I feel like there aren't really any main characters, like any distinct single.
It's a whole
character.
cast, pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about the show too. I love how fast paced it is. It reminds me of like a Guy Ritchie or a Tarantino film, where you just have no idea what the fuck's going on, and then things are gonna make sense by the end of it. I also agree, like, if you didn't bring up the point, I would have brought it up, where the ending kind of falls really flat, unfortunately. It just kind of ends because like they had to end it. It could have really benefited from 2 core, obviously, but that's a problem that that's like beyond the scope of that's all studio related problems. The animation, yeah, I would agree with what a lot of you guys are saying. Like, I think the animation's a bit hit or miss. There are times where I really like it and like it looks totally fine, and then there's times where you really know that it's CG. It's very blatantly obvious.
Yep.
The show surprised me in a lot of ways, both good and bad ways. And some of the bad ways that surprised me is like there's a surprising lack of fighting. I was expecting there to be a lot more fights, and like when there were fights, they were really short. And even like Nikaido and Kaimon's like showdown at the end, he was really just like blocking the entire time, and it really wasn't that interesting. So I was kind of expecting that. Maybe that's just an expectation thing from my end. I was expecting like more like fights, but it seems to be more about the mystery, more about the characters, more about finding a lot about the world, which is my jam anyway, so I didn't mind that. And I did feel like there were a couple episodes where nothing happened. Like the plot didn't really progress at all, and like maybe 2 or 3 episodes, but the characters progress a lot, and you learn a lot more about them. So I didn't mind it as much, even though I still think it is a little bit of a weak point. But yeah, overall, definitely a fan. Definitely curious to see what happens. I was like waiting for us to record this so I could actually read the manga, and find out what happens. But yeah, it sounds like everybody generally is pretty positive, with Nate kind of standing in the middle a little bit. So let's dive into some more specific questions. So I kind of mentioned Shin and Noi. Like, who are your guys' favorite characters? I'm curious because a lot of them are very likable. So.
Oh yeah, this. So in terms of like where, if you're going into the anime or the manga just like cold, you don't know anything about it, you really don't know where like the placement is of like who's the protagonist and who's the antagonist. Everyone's kind of just trying to live, and they all have their reasons why their stance is in such a way. And so I don't know, you can really find your range for like which characters you like. Now, in terms of which characters I like, I really like the dynamics of Shin and Noi. Now, I feel like they're going to drag on a little bit more with Nikaido and Kaimon because he's trying to find out who he is. So there's like a whole backstory to that. And I feel like Nikaido she's holding back certain things because of like I don't know where it could lead, but that's the whole mystery of it. But I feel like there's going to be a little bit of a betrayal going to happen. And as such, from the information that I know of the anime first season, I do like Shin and Noi. Now they do every character does some really terrible things. And it's and that's another reason why there are no heroes here. Like everyone's just really out for like their closest people and for their own interests. So you can kind of get your range. But I really like the dynamics of people sticking to their values. So really strongly addressing that was Shin and Noi. But I really also like the as far as just like random like whenever this character is on scene, some craziness and some laughter is gonna happen. I forget the name of him, but I like the cockroach guy.
Johnson.
Best boy.
Johnson.
Are you gonna have a cockroach have so much personality, but it just says "shocking"? Just what?
Yeah,
I'm just. Yeah, it's weird, but yeah, I enjoyed that character a lot, and I also like the doctor, the doctor who's like 60 years old or something, but he looks like he's young. I'm like, I wouldn't mind if I were to cosplay him or Shin, if there were any characters that I would cosplay, but if there's any characters or any cosplays out there that are gonna cosplay Noi, give me a holla. Woo! Fit chicks!
They're pretty thick, yeah.
Oh my god.
All thick.
Dude, fit chicks.
Except
Well,
Girls that can kick my ass or teach me something. Oh, That's it, dude. I'm sold.
What about you, David?
Yeah, my Johnson joke got stolen, and I thought that was going to be a riot. No, it's good. It's good. It's good. No. I'll be honest. Like, I mean, I think Shin and Noi are like the obvious ones for a lot of people. I do really like Hyman. I don't know. Whenever he's on screen, like I root for him. I know he's simpleton, but so am I. I really like N as like a villain. And when I say villain, I mean like an antagonist, I guess.
Yeah, he's the
Yeah, because like I love like, okay, like he has like him having an origin story and everything was like, you know, it makes sense and everything. It felt a little tacked on, but I just like that he was falling through hell and he was just so pissed that he was like, no. So he just kept on going. Yeah, he was just going through hell, and then he like made. What'd you say?
I mean, never mind. Go ahead.
Oh, my bad. But yeah, he was just flying through hell, and like the scene of him just being like just legit so pissed, and then lying there, and then like a bunch of like devils just going up and just being like, yo, is this guy just like living on these mushrooms? Like, what the fuck? So like I liked him as a villain or antagonist. I thought he was interesting. I think every character aside from Fujita, who I thought was a little underdeveloped. You know, I like Ebisu and everything. But if I had to truly pick like a favorite one, I guess it'd probably be Nikaido, honestly. So
That's fair. That's fair.
Damn, you stole my favorite character, Teardrop.
Yeah.
man, maybe have an original opinion for once.
Hey, it's not my fault.
I was dynamic.
Third.
Johnson was taken, so I have to choose a different one.
It's not my fault. I have to go third. You choose the order of this shit show.
I chose the order. I chose the order. Just change it. Put an A in front of your name and you go first.
You know, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put 2 A's so I go first.
Aki Nagoya instead.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. But no, realistically, Nikaido, I definitely liked her a lot because as like the story developed, you got to see more of her. Kaiman, in my personal opinion, was he was just a goofball. Like he was just like straight brawn, no brain at all. He was just like, all right, I'm gonna figure out who this guy is inside of me, quote unquote. And I'm just gonna.
Who's this guy inside of me?
Or who I am, where my
sounds
head
ridiculous.
is. Yeah, and he's just like, oh, you're a sorcerer. I'm gonna put my, I'm gonna eat your head so you could. What did the guy say inside of me? Like that was just about the interesting thing about him. Ebisu, the fact that she's a super strong sorcerer, but she's also a literal fucking idiot, like makes me so happy.
Okay. In defense of Ebisu, this girl was actually implied to be very normal until her face got ripped off. Her face got healed. She then got zombified. Then she got de-zombified, which caused her to lose her memory and her sanity. Like,
but you didn't think about that, did you, Ryan? Before you judged.
Dude, her getting zombified in the background
Oh my God.
was the funniest thing because it just happened casually in the background. I loved it so much.
But yeah, no. Despite David's popular belief, I actually did think about that because I couldn't get a word out because David likes to judge too quickly. But
no. Okay, I respect your opinion.
You remind me of the bird dude.
Yes. Oh my God. Thank you. I loved him.
Wait, the bird guy?
The one with no shirt.
The guy who is in love with N, but N wants Nikaido, so then he hates Nikaido.
That's me. That's me towards Baha. Like that's literally me towards Baha.
And I'm like the turkey dude towards you.
Baha's N, and I'm him, just like trying to be like, please love me, and he's like, no, fuck you. But
I will change my form. I thought you were talking about Birdman, as in like Rick and Morty, and I'm like Bird Person, and I was like, wait, are we jumping?
Definitely,
I got you.
Definitely jumping.
Honestly, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. You're fine. I was wrapping up, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I think the only reason, and I see there's a pattern here, but the only reason why I really liked Shin and Noi as my favorite characters because they were the most developed ones. I got their story from beginning to end, and I understood how they ended up there, and I was like, I like them. That's cool. And then, like, literally Shin being like, oh, it's you, the fucking doctor. You know what? I'm not gonna kill you anymore. You saved me once. you're fine. Like
Great.
that was so nonchalant that I was like, yeah, no, I like these characters because even though they're like the antagonists, so to speak, they literally saw or one of the main characters that saved their life in their big origin story, and they were like, "Oh, what's up? Let's have some food. Hey, Shin, heal them up, or not? Sorry, not Shin. Noi, heal them up. They're good now." Like it felt good to me. I don't know. That's why I liked them, and it was just such a like seeing Noi like her training to become an actual devil and all this, and then all of a sudden she like let it go just to save Shin. Like that to me, that was pretty cool. Like they were the most in depth in my opinion, probably. But even then, they were just like likable. Like even though they were kind of antagonists, I really liked them. Kaiman, he was like Ryan said, he was a goofball. He's just brawn, no brains. He's just like fuck it, let's do it, let's go. That's it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess I would like to know more about Nikaido, but then showing how she had, like, how her magic is just rare, and that's why people want her, kind of goes to show, like, her struggle. So that, I would say, like, she was developed, but, like, I wanted to see it more from her side kind of thing. But it was still pretty good. Like, top two characters shouldn't know it just because their whole story was, like, there, and it was the most coherent thing to me in this world, when we're just being consistently thrown and being randomized. But I do have to admit that the way that they revealed story, or the way that they revealed like the setting, so to speak, it was very nicely done, because it was very much like it's like slowly adding to a world that you don't know about. And I really liked it. As a writer, I really liked it. So, but story-wise, still hung up on the mystery. But anyways, what do you think about character?
Oh, this is friggin' hard. Because okay, so from an overall intrigue standpoint, I find Nikaido the most interesting, just because the potential is there a lot for there to be a lot of like interesting development there. Because the first season is very much like establishing the cast, right? It didn't feel like I didn't even understand the main characters really until about 2/3 of the way, and then it's like, okay, now so these are the main players of this. So from that perspective, it kind of makes sense why there's a lot of information gaps, at least in terms of the main people. But in any case, I think just based on the information given by season 1, I as is popular opinion here, like Shin and Noi the most, just based on what I know. Just because, like Nate said, they're the only ones we fully know. It's like by the end of the season, you really get a good grasp of all the magicians, but in terms of the protagonists, you don't learn a ton, and that's because they're still establishing setting by the end of it. So I don't know. I have a suspicion by the end of this whole thing, I'll like Nikaido the most, but as of right now, based on what I know, Shin and Noi are easily my favorite characters, just because they're very endearing. When you first meet them, you just kind of assume, okay, this is like the student character, and then this is the edgy teacher character. Then you see them unmasked, and you're like, wait, what? She's a hot buff chick. Wait, what? He's like a baby-faced, clean, sort of clean-looking dude.
Adult buff Naruto.
Yeah, you like actually know. And then you learn more about them, and you're like, oh, she's literally the One-chan of the group, and then this dude was almost Sasuke. What even are these two characters?
But with Dobby arms. He's got Dobby arms with like all the stitches.
Yeah, he does.
So it like the show plays with your understanding a lot, because like even when you meet N for the first time, you're like, okay, he's the big bad mafia boss, and then you learn no, he's as goofy, if not more so, than the rest of the cast. It's absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
So in that way, the show, that's why it's so hard to pick a favorite character, just because they're all so likable. Like even the ones you're supposed to hate, you can't help but feel like at least a little in towards, because they're all goofy as hell.
I completely agree with what you just said. Basically, like I felt very similarly. Like, yeah, Shinonoi, you learn so much about them compared to everybody else, which, you know, it's on purpose, right? Because Kaimon, he's like the central figure for his own character's mystery, so obviously he's going to seem simple at first, right? He literally basically doesn't have a personality right now because he like doesn't know who he is. Best part about him is that he's voice acted by Obito and Toby's voice actor, so that's the best part about him. And I definitely am very curious about Nikaido as well. She has a lot of potential, like you say, with her time magic and everything. And even though it's interesting because they never actually like show it, like they never show her using it, and like everybody just says she has it, right? So I thought that it may be like a debate that she actually doesn't have that. She has some other rare thing that's really powerful. Because it was weird because they kept talking about how she has time magic, but then she never confirms it herself, nor do they ever show it. She just says I have some rare magic, and that in the past she like killed somebody got killed for it that she knows. But I'm probably reading too much into that. Same thing with like Ebisu's magic. I feel like the fact that she can make lizards is a debate. I think that's like we're not supposed to fall for that. It's a red herring because when she makes people into lizards, they become full lizards, not like a head. So I feel like that's also not what happened to Kaimon. But I digress. I did like all of the characters for the most part. I would agree Fujita is probably like the least developed one, but he was supposed to basically be like the weak one in the group that like you can kind of more identify with, I guess, is like supposed to be his role. And I loved N a lot because from a certain perspective, he's so the main reason that like I can see him as like the quote unquote villain is because he killed an entire city of people. But
Yep.
like really apart from that though, he saw himself as like a hero who like freed a bunch of like enslaved and abused mages, and formed a group of people that could rely on each other, and never have to feel that way again. And from a certain perspective, that's really admirable, and I really like that about his character, and it makes him like very complex because he has, and they've shown several times that he has like a lack of control with his abilities. And I've never been more scared of mushrooms in my life. Not even Last of Us 2 could do that to me. And I don't know. He's very fascinating to me. Like I'm very curious to see like where they take him because he could have easily, like Vicky said, he could have easily just been like this one note mafia boss. But there's a lot of depth to him, and like he does the most bad things, quote unquote, out of everybody. But everybody does bad things. Like even Kaimon, who's the most simple character, like abhors sorcerers to the point where he does not see them as people.
That was something that I really wanted to know. Why he would just kill them. Like I get wanting to know who was who, like who did what he did to him, but like why kill them?
That's why I'm saying like it's that's the most fascinating part about the show to me, is because I'm not really rooting for Kaimon, quite frankly. Like and I feel like if I can go back and really dive deep into the perspective shifts in the show, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more of not Kaimon than Kaimon in season 1. Because I feel like there's way more perspective shifts on everybody else. Like maybe I'm imagining that, but yeah, he's not out of the woods either. Like he does a lot of bad things too, and he came around with Nikaido. Like he refused to believe that she was a sorcerer at first and all that, and is coming to terms with it. So he's probably going to change that aspect of his character, especially after like hanging out with like the panda dude and working there and making meat pies and all that shit. So I feel like that part served to further that like change within him. But the point is they all do bad things, and it's really hard to know who to root for. And I feel like when the mystery unfolds, I wouldn't be surprised if the good guys are the bad guys and the bad guys are the good guys. So yeah, that part of the show really fascinates me a lot. So I want to know what you guys thought about like the world, and because like I find it really interesting that the magic in the world is so insane, and like the powers vary so much, and how the powers can even be like solidified into smoke and like sold. And there's so much interesting going on. Like, what did you guys find the most interesting about the world itself?
So for me, this was more like a realization thing than anything else. I was very surprised that mages just have one kind of magic.
Same.
it's not like you learn spells and cast them, and it's not like dust has a million applications. You just use it however your mind wants you to. It's almost like a mixture of Avatar bending and My Hero Academia quirks. It's you shoot this black dust from your body, and then based on what your magic type is, it does something very specific. So I thought that was kind of cool. Like I'm curious, like what the wide, vast array of different powers are, because we've seen everything from my dust is literally just dust to my dust, anything it comes in contact with turns it into mushrooms. But then the application of that turns out to be a lot of other weird crap, like I make a demonic Goomba thing and a bunch of other stuff. So it's like I'm curious to see more dust powers, and I also want to know what role devils have, because they're almost revered like gods. So I'm curious where that leads as well.
Yeah, it seems like there's some kind of like major influence from hell, and like it almost seems like, you know, at some point maybe they didn't have any powers, and the devils or hell like basically gave them their powers at some point, and then now it's like really commonplace, and the devils are basically like leaders that like aren't supposed to have like a ton of influence outside of like signing contracts and stuff like that. Because I wouldn't be surprised if the one that, see, that's another reason why Nikaido's history is so fascinating, because she's really close to a devil, right? That Asu guy, and he seems to be going out of the way and breaking a lot of rules that he shouldn't be, right? By interfering a lot. So I'm also very curious about that too, for sure.
Does everyone have powers? Like, does every sorcerer have magic or smoke?
I mean,
Okay, so
kind of
they
they
have,
do to a certain extent.
every sorcerer has this thing called like a dust vein. However, if the dust vein can't circulate dust well, you can't actually use the dust, which kind of sucks. So you need surgery to fix that, which is what Shin had.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. But then even if like you can use your dust, if your dust's power is just shite, or you can't make enough dust in order to actually use the power, then you're basically just a human that can shoot dust out of his fingers.
There's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with being a human, first of all.
You asked a question, David.
No,
I'm just answering the question.
But that is an interesting aspect. Like I really, as Vicky said, I really liked how the magic is just one. Like it kind of reminds me of. I don't know. I don't know if I'm quoting this correctly, but I don't know. It's a hard magic system, if I'm not mistaken, where your magic basically does one thing. It's not like it can make you do. You can make it do whatever you want it. Because I've seen magic systems before where basically, oh yeah, your power is like controlling water, but like your water actually does this, and you can actually do this too, and you can open portals. And then you just go like, wait, what the? Okay, cool. I guess sure. Let's go with it.
It's just adding too much to like their skill set.
Exactly.
Sorry, I didn't clear my throat.
Oh no, you're fine. Basically, it's just like a hard magic system means that your magic can only do this, and that's that. Like you can push it to its limits, but that doesn't mean that you're gonna all of a sudden be able to basically use telekinetic powers just because you push your powers to the limit. And I really like that. I guess like I mentioned earlier, like I really like just really random aspects of the world, like how they were like, hey, yeah, you can buy this like floating motorcycle that's actually a broom, and it's just like you power it up with your smoke. And I was just kind of like, okay, that's cool. Like the way that it nonchalantly like revealed things to you about the world, I really like that aspect of it. But I guess the difference or where it fell flat for me was probably more with the characters and the mystery that they had. The delivery that was there, but was like the delivery that they could have done, but never was fully completed. At least for this first season, in any one of their aspects, except for Shin and Noi. And but that doesn't mean that I didn't end up liking those characters. So like, I don't know. I just really liked, just the little aspects of it. I want to know why it is that sorcerers don't like the rain in the hole. I really want to know why. I just want to know.
What the hole is, man?
Yeah, we don't even know. Yeah, we don't even know what the hole is, and like, How is it that there are all these fucking doors? Like I feel
It's-
like. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I feel like it's the separation, and it's their way of segregating the haves and have-nots, with like the people who have the sorcerers and the regular humans, and the humans get experimented on. It's a clear parallel to how, you know, there's a lot of hatred between, you know, in human history, of like just people not liking each other because of one thing or another. It reminded me of it reminded me a little bit of the premise of the later seasons on Attack on Titan, mixed with the kind of world, what am I trying to say? The world kind of parameters of how things work with like Monsters Inc. with the doors. I was like, this is Attack on Titan meets Monsters Inc.
Yeah, I think where Nate is coming from though is like we understand that, like, yeah, it's a place where sorcerers go and practice on, but we still don't complete. We just want more details. Is it like a parallel universe? Like, are they the same world?
Is it
like, two sides of the same coin? Are they two different worlds? You know, like,
right, or is
we
it a
want
place
the
of hell?
nitty-gritty. Exactly.
Because the rules there
yeah.
are clearly a little different from the ones in the sorcerer's place, right? Because in the sorcerer place, there's hell pathways everywhere. Like,
Yep.
hell is like a hop, skip, jump away from your plane of existence at any given time, right? But however, getting to hole is difficult, right? Like, it's easier to get to hell than it is to get to hole, which, when you think about it, makes no sense.
Exactly.
So, like, clearly there's a lot of weird stuff going on here that we don't know. Especially if you can go to fucking Eternal Damnation way easier than you can go to, oh, it's just really shitty dystopian Earth City number 12 from fiction. And then there's also a lot of weird stuff happening in Hold, too. Like, you have the rain. You have a bottomless swamp in the middle of a baseball field.
Right? That was hilarious.
Best fucking episode.
That baseball episode was peak. Eat Your Heart Out DB Super baseball episode. There's
Get 'em.
there's a night once every year where zombies emerge, right?
That was dope.
There's just so much weird.
Oh wait, so it's
stuff.
mixing Coco now.
But yeah, like, also Nate, just to touch really quickly about the hard magic thing. So it's not actually quite hard magic. It's like probably like a hybrid in this world. Because hard magic basically follows like very specific rules, and the rules are explained to the reader. Which, like, yeah, they have like one power, but it seems like the powers can vary so vastly in their rule sets that it's not quite hard. Because, like, for example, N, like what Vicky said, N basically starts off as, oh yeah, he can turn everything into a mushroom. But no, he can also like connect with you if he already touched you with his mushroom, he can like make you he can spawn like a goober from you and like connect to it and then see through it. Yeah, and then like use it to fight. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not very hard because you don't know what the fuck everybody can do.
I gotcha. Yeah,
it's kind of like X-Men, right? Like, because like some people have really shitty powers in X-Men, but then some people have like powers that start off one way and then they become godly at some point, right? Like, you find out Iceman isn't just manipulating ice; he's manipulating matter. You know, like, but yeah, I just want to touch on that real quick. It's not that important.
I gotcha. Okay, yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, I wasn't too sure if I was quoting that correctly, but I gotcha. Okay, follow.
Yeah, I was really fascinated with the ability to like encapsulate your smoke and sell it. Because I feel like if you have a good enough power, because it seems like they have a way to assess the quality of the smoke as well. I feel like if you have like a strong enough power, you could just live off that, right? Like, you could just sell your own like powers basically ad infinitum, as long as like, you know, you don't run out of energy. Because like Ebisu ran out of energy in that one episode and she turned into like a little like larva lizard thingy. So they have a limit as well. There is some kind of like hypothetical mana, you know, limit or something. But that part of it fascinated me. Like, just like the underground like black market shit related to the sorcerers is super fascinating. I'm surprised that like people aren't just dying like left and right, you know, like In this,
They kind of are.
I don't know. I feel like they showed a lot of just simple life too, though.
It's an organized society.
Yeah,
Like the whole
exactly.
world wasn't like just chaos and disorder, even though like stuff like that
Exactly.
happens.
That's why.
I
That's
feel
why
like
I was
there's
impressed.
no policing. There's no like consequences if you kill someone, because it's just vengeance, and
There might not
in
be,
that
but
sense,
The thing
there-
is, we don't know the like probably very bloody history of how the Sorcerer Society developed, right? Like,
oh yeah,
I have no doubt in my mind there was some point where it was just friggin' war zone, right?
For all the families, probably, right?
Yeah, and
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if like it's the mafia thing basically brought organized chaos.
like in a
And,
weird way, N kind of in any other situation, like N's rise to power could be like a shonen story.
Exactly.
oh
It
yeah.
actually could be, yeah.
I feel like it could be.
They made it into a movie, guys. Didn't you watch?
Right?
that was really good.
It's like the movie's not finished, guys.
I need to be Paimon.
Nah, but honestly, like I think all in all, like I fall in the middle because I really like the world and the setting and how kind of like the fucking 4 days. Is it 4 days or 3 days of like that sorcerer festival so that you can find your partner or like choose a partner. Dude, I was like,
Damn, we
this
need
is-
that shit.
I was about
I
to
was
say,
like, this is
all our
fucking
single ladies in this
amazing.
group. How do y'all feel
Right.
about that?
That was my favorite episode.
Blue
Yeah.
Knight.
Dude, I would be the dude with the red nose. I forgot what his name is.
You would
Fujima-
submit your own
Fujima, yeah.
application.
I would be. God damn it!
Dude, how cute was that moment when they realized Ebisu was the one that wanted to be his partner? That was super
That was-
cute.
That was adorable.
But she taunts him
When
so
Noi
much. She's
yanked off her
a
mask,
dick to
it was
him.
like, as a
What?
girl, I know exactly what's going on.
It's
Yoink.
just her, yeah, but she blushed and everything. It was
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah, Ebisu's like
She's a
sweet.
tsundere.
David, we're not saying
Ebisu's a
Ebisu's
dick
cute.
to
We're
him.
saying the moment
She like trolls him the whole time.
Nah, really? I didn't really get that vibe.
She does like the low under her breath like trolling of him just because like
But they kind of do that to each other, right? Like I thought they were
Yeah.
very playful.
He went
It's like
with him.
saves the shit out of her like several times. Like when she's casually becoming a zombie in the background, he's the only one giving a shit about her.
yeah.
You know? So
I mean he cares for her, but she doesn't give it really. Like she kind of like treats him like shit, and I don't know. I if I were to pick a villain, I would say Ebisu's the villain.
Bro.
of the whole story.
Those them fighting words, boy. What are
Dude,
you
she's
trying
the
to
villain
say,
to
my
me.
dude?
Oh my god.
That's amazing.
Damn.
I'll rewatch the show from that
Hey,
perspective. That character running around in circles in the background, the
what's
mastermind,
She's the true
the
villain.
absolute unit.
Dude, she's pulling the fucking strings, dude. You just don't know it yet.
That's like comparing.
For the record, the face in Kaimon's head she's the only person he didn't react Omae wa chigauda. Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
there is
Let's
some
set up that
connection.
translation.
she's not it. She got in the way of
Translators
the guy that
know
was in the-
Keikaku means plan.
Okay, so everyone else, he's been saying you're not the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again, with Ebisa, he says you're the one that got in my way.
Yeah.
So something happened.
There's
I still think it's
something there.
Yeah.
It's still a red herring to a degree because they very blatantly said like, "Oh, you have lizard powers? Like, you probably it." But like,
Yeah,
it's
Yeah.
still on
She
the
might be
nose,
the big
obviously.
bad, but she may be connected to the big bad or
Her
whatever the
dad
hell situation
might
is,
be
right?
the
Like we don't
big
know.
bad.
We legit don't know.
Big Dad.
Nah,
Ah,
Big Dad,
Big
Big
Sad.
Bad.
nah. But I was gonna say like comparing Ebisu to being the villain would be comparing Demix to being Master of Masters in Kingdom Hearts, bro.
He is.
You
He
never know.
is.
You never
I mean,
know.
there's
Yeah.
no one else.
That would be the
Oh,
biggest.
and
fucking
the Kingdom Hearts
comparison.
talk starts, and I'm gonna have to go into my bush.
Oh,
No,
No,
we're
no,
not-
no,
not
No,
gonna
no,
divert,
just
don't
that,
worry.
just that. We're not gonna divert. I'm just saying it's just compare. It's like
Yeah.
comparing like the most background characters to actually be. That's like saying Jar Jar Binks is actually a Sith Lord. Like what the fuck, guys?
Best fucking theory.
I mean,
Best theory out there with a lot of traction.
right? So I don't know. To me, that's just hilarious. it's more for the fun part of it all. Like it's hilarious if she actually is a villain.
I say this with confidence because to me she's I call people villains if they just step on people, and like she just has like a whole lot of disregard towards damn it, I forget his name.
Fujita.
Yeah. I'm just like like in me, like, because I've had that kind of experience before where people just like say little slide comments, and I'm like, that hurt. Like I felt like that pain for Fujita, and I'm like, that hurts, and I'm like, this freaking hits home, and I'm like, she's dick. I don't know.
Wait,
like that's
but did they blush
I don't
afterwards and then like run around in a circle? I mean, I feel like
then it means there's
I get what you're saying. I didn't really personally notice that, but like with what you're saying, it sounds legit. It's more of just like I feel like none of it was like out of spite or like actually like hurt Fuji's feelings. Like he wasn't ever like, oh damn, like I'm getting shit on. It was more of just like playful. So
We give each other shit all the time. It's the same.
y'all sometimes do too much.
Yeah, like that.
Like, here's the thing, right? Like by that logic, Kazuma from Konosuba is a villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
he's a
kind
fucking
of.
god. Okay.
I mean, he's a godly villain.
Kazuma's my lad, dude. Wait, one thing I wanted to ask you guys is so I mean in anime, obviously, to be fair, there's always like insane hair colors and the eye colors and all that shit. But do you guys think Noi is an albino?
It's possible actually, because her hair is white.
No, it's just silver.
It's
Her eyes are, no, her hair is
very
white. Her eyes are red.
very
She's a
pale.
devilish person.
Well, she was gonna be a devil, but then
right. So
it all went away.
got that little
happened to her
little horn
tail?
like
So wait,
It all vanished when she like isn't.
yeah, I was like, does it mean she
Yeah.
retained her traits? Like her natural eye color must have been red to begin with,
I
because
think
like when
that's
she
just-
like
I think it was.
No, her hair was always like a pale pinkish. Like it was always
I
that
think
color.
it's just
Like
character design, honestly.
yeah.
yeah, I think it might be character
Interesting
design.
thought, though.
Yeah.
I mean, for real, yeah. Like it was. Honestly, I think it was kind of refreshing to see that there weren't like those crazy colors and whatnot. And even then, like when I saw the mask, like Fujita, I was just like, "Oh, this guy has a long nose." No, that's just the fucking mask. Like it was actually kind of refreshing to see how molded characters were, like design wise. Except for, of course, like Kaiman and like fucking Johnson and shit like that. Like they were relatively normal, and then Ebisu having like purple hair, but like we see that on a regular basis nowadays, so it's just kind of like meh. So like yeah, no, it was actually kind of cool, just the normalcy of it all. Yet they are fucking ape shit crazy with their abilities and how they live in this world. So yeah, I don't know, this is pretty cool.
Do you think
I love how Kaiman can walk around with a gas mask and no one questions it.
Right.
No one is concerned
There's a
by
really
it.
big, there's a really big mask culture that I'm like really curious
I
about.
was gonna say, do you guys think the masks actually reflect like the characters, or are they just like?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, go
they
ahead.
kind of allude to that with Nikaido, because the mask that gets made for her actually enhances her abilities. Because the devil dude that helps her,
Mhm.
he's the one who made the
Absu or
mask.
something like that.
Yeah,
Asu,
yeah.
Not Abzu. Unfortunately, he doesn't dive into the deep blue.
I get that joke.
And when it comes to masks that the other characters have, they kind of describe their character, the characters' personalities in with it as well. The guy that wears his heart on his sleeve has a heart for a head, which is Shin. I don't know much about the design. I don't know the origin design of Noise, because Noise is kind of like it. I don't know. Can you guys elaborate on the design? I don't know the.
I mean,
ties to
it was kind of like a black skeletal kind of looking mask,
like if
basically.
Venom had a human mouth.
Yeah, kind of.
Mhm.
But that was
There-
really it. I mean,
The other thing that's on the back, I noticed it on the back of Shin's mask is another face, which to me kind of alludes to how he always has to watch his own back. And because like he's been screwed over by people that he supposedly, trusted at one point. So I don't know. I think Shin's design, even though it's essentially just a mask and a very loosely worn suit, there's a lot to it, at least to me, that speaks to his character design. I really do enjoy his character design.
Yeah, I really like that too. And I think at one point, like Noi just calls him out because I think he wears it backwards a lot. Just like that's like a thing he does. But I think the mouth thing is like a theme of the N family specifically, because like that's like N's mask, right? And I feel like he his top tier like followers like
cleaners,
wear, like, same thematic like masks. I think might be wrong, but that's what I
it
got.
might be.
Tracks.
Because
They look
like,
like-
he has a
like
mouth on the
scenery
back of his head. Yeah, they do.
That's true. Yeah.
They're also vaguely bondagey looking.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Espe- not the
Especially
entire
when
time.
Noi like had the party outfit. First of all, you're like, damn. Second of all, you're like, that's a lot of skin.
yeah.
But Ebisu though. But
Oh,
Ebisu
God.
was
Boing.
wearing lingerie.
Boing.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
She was the Ghost Rider in lingerie.
Ebisu's shark dance.
Oh yeah, that was
Oh
pretty
my
funny.
god, yeah, that was cute. Yeah,
I don't remember that.
it's the
And
baseball
and our
game.
baseball.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. She was left
On
shark.
Yeah. Honestly though, like I guess it was just those little moments that were actually brought me to actually like that brought me to the middle back again. I want to say like it made me like the show. So like basically keeping me there that middle because it was just good moments. Like you guys said, all the characters are pretty much likable. Like even Kaiman, like literally he said gyoza so many times that I went and made gyoza that night, and I was like, I have frozen
It's
gyoza, fuck
so
it.
good.
And I actually learned how to make like fried frozen gyoza, and I was like, now I don't have to boil it anymore. Great.
That was the real
Like,
message of
it's-
the show.
Yeah,
It's actually supposed to be fried and seared, but then you steam it
that's
to
how I
cook
learned,
it properly. Yeah.
yeah.
But you can get whole like fried gyoza. You don't have to like do it that way. You can fry the whole thing.
Yeah, but all in all, like it was I think it was generally likable characters, which is why I would give it a second give it a chance. The mystery behind each of the characters' story arc, like that's what kind of turned me off about it, because it just felt like how Vicky helped me out earlier. It felt like there was a mystery, but they never delivered on at least one of the characters that had a mystery surrounding them. And then,
I
just
thought we learned a lot about Risu though. Like
I don't know.
quite a bit about Risu.
The
I
flashbacks
don't
kind
know.
of came like the flashbacks were definitely like the ending kind of thing. Like they intentionally left it towards the end. I felt like that resolved a lot of the character arcs and like kind of told you where they're from. And I mean the major mystery, like they tease it like a lot with a lot of things, and it's not like I don't think it's something that we could put together with just the knowledge we have now. But I think we learned enough to keep us interested. At least, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
I would agree with that.
But
Yeah, there's a lot of weird things that are teased. Like
yeah.
there's some kind of like thing, some evil thing inside of him or some shit.
Ooh,
Yeah.
there was a
Like,
lot of
like,
information that was
so-
lost there. I didn't hear.
Oh, I was just saying like they teased some like evil entity or something inside of him, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and there's like those flashbacks with the cross-eyed gangs and everything like that, and you saw like glimpses of their leader, I think. And then obviously we know that what's his face, like Aikawa is Kaimon, right? They have the same exact goddamn voice. It's not.
Yeah, pretty
It's
much.
not. And if you look at the scene where whatchamacallit, where in the church when they're fighting and she gets stabbed. And then she's like, it wasn't Kaimon, it was somebody else. If you freeze frame it, you can see he has the same sideburns as Aikawa in the flashback. So we know that like Aikawa is deeply rooted, the Aikawa Risu dynamic, whatever it might be. We don't know the full story yet, but they gave us a lot of tidbits, like to keep us interested, like David said. So I think they did a good job with that. And I know Nate, you gotta go, you gotta drop off in like a couple minutes here. So is there anything last you wanted to like say before you?
Oh no, that was me wrapping up basically. I mean, but for the most part, like it's I'm in the hard middle. I'm glad you guys liked it like as much as you did. I'm still in the hard middle. I'm like the characters were likable enough that I would watch season 2 just to see what happens. I personally, because I was so lost consistently and felt like there was a lot that just wasn't delivered, I feel like that kind of turned me off about it. But still, like the characters were likable enough where I'm like, sure, I would watch it. Like I would continue. I continued watching it because I liked the characters, But yeah,
I feel like I can definitely get that where if you feel lost, it kind of feels like you're outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah, it's like Kingdom Hearts.
Whoa, sir! No, I'm just kidding.
Especially if they don't like tie up if they don't tie up all the loose ends in like one season, it kind of leaves you feeling a little uncomfortable, because like the anime itself is also just like really violent and grotesque at times, and it just throws so much at you. It can be a little overwhelming, so I can definitely get that. I revel
with Kingdom Hearts. I didn't feel simple and clean. Not at all.
I don't like this.
So I'm gonna leave now, guys. Bye.
Buddy,
take it easy, buddy.
No. I was joking.
Oh
shit!
That was a joke. That was a joke. But like,
so for me, I revel in that. Like I revel in that unknown, and for me, like I try to not draw too many judgments until I see the whole thing / read the whole thing. In this case, the thing that I'm worried about though, personally, is anytime anything, if any media thing adds time travel, I am immediately concerned. Because time travel, when it's done well, is my jam. I love it.
Back to the Future, baby.
But like Nikaido's power potentially being some time related shit, I hope that this show later on does not get inside of its own ass. That's my only concern. That's my only concern. I trust with everything that's happened so far that doesn't happen, but that's just the only thing I'm worried about. So
you can only trust time travel for Back to the Future and memes about COVID-19 being a cure to the zombie apocalypse.
Bruh.
Even in the case of Back to the Future, though, right? Like, 1 was very good. It was very consistent. There were clear rules. 2 and 3,
Nah. 2 is mad. 3, it's great. We got the old westerns, boys. I loved it. Nah, but I know what you're coming from, though. I'm just biased because I actually fucking grew up with those movies and I really, really love them. So like, even though 2 was kind of I really, you know what? I'm gonna write a review about that. Anyways,
we got another plug at the end of the show, so now it's not just
you're gonna plug.
Yeah. But yeah, I have a few minutes. I could do 15 more, or if we want to wrap up. But those were my thoughts for the most part regarding the Dorohedoro.
I have a question for the group.
Yes.
Which ending sequence was your favorite?
The Doom one.
Ooh, the Doom, yeah.
the Doom mushroom. Oh, there we go, Doom shroom.
Yeah. Did you? I mean.
Oh man, there were a lot of good.
Shrooms, though.
I need a refresher on. I need a refresher on the different endings.
So there's one where they're just going through doors in like a dark area. That one's kind of boring.
Okay.
Then there's one where it's like a choppy, like 15 frame per second sequence of like Kaimon and wow, I am blank. Nikaido like running around and then them getting chased by Noi and Shin.
Okay, yeah.
And then Ibisa and Fujita chasing Noi and Shin, and then them getting chased by zombies. And then this just escalates. And then there's one with what's his name, Kurage, En's dog thing.
Yeah.
Him just chilling and a bunch of crap happening. And then there's Doom Shroom, which is En being Doom Guy and shrooming stuff.
and it's great.
I kind of like the everyone chasing each other. I kind of I like to see the characters kind of like a little bit out of character and then kind of just like having fun. I like that one. But I do like the Doom Shroom one. I just want to be different.
Oh, that's fair. Fair. I personally also like the chasing one, just because it syncs up with the music a little better than Doom Shroom. But Doom Shroom is pretty amazing.
I was gonna say.
So- Go ahead, David.
Oh well, are you still talking about the ending?
No, I'm
No,
not.
I think we're good.
I wanted to hear what your favorite ending was.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said the Doom thing, right? Or maybe I was just talking to myself in my head. I like the last one too. I think they're all good. Yeah, that sounded like such a like Trump answer. Like, yeah, yeah, all of them.
Well, shit.
It's fair though. There are a lot of strong endings. There are a lot of strong ending sequences in this show, which is nice because usually the ending sequences are so afterthought. It's terrible. But this one actually like was creative with them. So
Yeah, I mean, especially considering how good the opening was. I don't know about anyone else, but I've been playing that song on repeat, and I really
love
like it.
that opening.
Yeah.
Love that opening.
So good. And then, like, dude, this is the ending. Okay, I don't know. Okay, the Nikaido scene, like, because I could rewatch, like, to me, like, the visuals of an opening usually don't matter much. And I know some people are going to call me out for that. I don't, it's okay, guys. It's okay, guys. But the thing is that, like, the visuals synced up really well with what was going on. It like the zaniness of like the music that was going on, and then like I love Nikaido just going like blank-eyed and just like chopping up the meat despite being a vegan. Right? I still thought that was like really dope.
That was hilarious.
She like ditches the mushroom and she's like, "Yo, I'm all about that meat life."
You know,
no,
I
but
could even
that
be
also
mad.
was a narrative call out though, right? Because like
Yeah.
I love the opening for this reason. The opening has so much imagery you don't
I
understand.
never
at
thought
all.
about that till just what you said. Oh man.
Yeah, and then over the
Wow.
course of the series, you start to understand the opening. Like the mushroom
Yeah.
is basically referencing N. The N's freaking dog cat revive life thing is there. Then
yo.
homages to cooking.
But the thing is,
Yeah,
with N's mushrooms, though, N turns people into mushrooms, and so he eats them. So that's why, to me, it makes sense why she chooses the meat, which is, livestock, and then versus the mushrooms that were before people. And it's just like, and to me, I was just like, oh gosh, it's just like, the mushrooms are people.
You know how depressing that would be for me if even the vegetables were made out of like humans? I don't know what I would do.
You see, David, the matter in the vegetables may have come from ancient humans.
All right. So on another,
We all remember the
Surely
circle
be
of life.
vegan.
We all remember the circle of life. It just goes in. Sometimes you cut the circle and then you patch it up with another end.
Matter can change form, but it can never be created or destroyed.
yeah,
So-
y'all so insightful.
The water you're drinking could have been in the dinosaurs. Probably was in the dinosaurs, actually.
Yo, I love how dinosaurs are fueling my car. Dino power. It just makes
my
sense
God.
because if you're driving a Ford Raptor, you're dino powered.
Oh
So
my
what you're
fucking
saying-
Fucking god.
If we blast,
I like cars, okay?
if we blast a Power Rangers Dino Thunder theme song while going 60 down the highway, that's
Fuck
science.
yeah, dude! I would do that. You know what? I'm gonna do that next. Boom. GG.
He's dropping off the podcast, boys. He got something better to do tonight.
Yeah. All right. No, but I do have to be going, guys.
Take it easy, bro.
For
All
sure.
right, Nate.
Plug
Take
your
care,
website,
guys.
If you
Check. I was gonna say, check me out, guys. I have recently launched Nate Rates. It is naterates.wordpress.com. Check it out. I am gonna be reviewing movies, books, and many other things. Anime, maybe. Just depends on what I watch and what I want to do. But for the most part, it'll be movies that I'm interested in. I'm gonna be undertaking the rewatching of the entire Star Wars saga and movies. That includes Clone Wars. So yeah, it's gonna be hella fun. So come check out my If you guys want, you can check it out. If you don't, I don't care. I'm kidding. But come check it out. I think it'll be fun. Let's
We'll
just
a link
have
in
some
the
fun
description.
conversations. Was that? Yeah. If you can put the link in the description, it's just literally Nate Rates .wordpress.com, and yeah, come check it out. I will be posting 3 this week, and then 3 the following week after that. So just be on the lookout for those. All right.
For sure.
Peace out, guys.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Later, bro.
Tip of the hat.
Make sure to subscribe to our Patreon. Fans get exclusive rights to see the videos first before they drop a month later. One point I want to bring up about the show was did anyone think the editing was a bit off? Because I know we mentioned that it's supposed to be kind of like all over the place and make you feel a little like anxious, but I thought there was points where the editing and the pacing was really off in a way that wasn't intentional.
They did have some straight up Star Wars wipes.
I think there were some cuts that were odd. Yeah.
I
I don't know. It didn't bother me though. I think it's just because the show is so insane that like it didn't.
You just
stand
kind of
out.
go with it.
Yeah, I mean, what stood out to me more were just there were a couple episodes where like the main plot basically didn't progress at all, and that was pretty noticeable. But I also didn't mind that either, just because it's just like fun to just be with these characters. But I definitely get what you mean though. There's definitely some awkward.
The moments that were really distracting was when they clearly swapped out the high fidelity character models with the low poly ones, which have which animate differently. Those were the moments that were distracting.
There's a lot of budgeting points to that to what you said, and like Ish, I know you brought up earlier that the action was cut off really quickly, and I don't think that was on purpose. Like I don't think it was in order to be like, it's not really an action show. I think they intended a lot of those fights to be interesting and to be more than just like one slash. I think budgeting was a huge thing, which is why any CG show, or at least CG shows that are like kind of implemented in it, like a lot of times that's the reasoning. So I think hopefully with a higher budget, we could see a lot of different things. Not saying that the CG would have to be removed, because I think they placed it pretty well in a lot of scenes.
It plays well, yeah.
So
That's good to know. Yeah, I didn't realize that they had budget issues, but yeah, that part
I'm
definitely stood
I'm
out.
assuming.
Oh, okay. That part just stood out to me a lot. Like anytime there was a fight, I was like, "Oh yeah, oh it's over." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that happened a lot. And I was like, "Okay, cool." I mean, I'm with the mystery. You know, I'm with it still, but it would have been cool to get both.
Because they hyped up, like, even when Shin and Noi were like about to fight those guys, they're like, "All right, let's go," right? And Shin, and then like Noi just like kicks him, and then like, or no, drops a boulder on his head, and then
Yup.
Shin just is like, boom. So
Yeah.
There were some really cool moments though, like when Nikaido and Kaiman, like within a blink of an eye, disarmed, decapacitated, and submitted Ebisu was really dope. Like, just the way the whole build up and setup
The
was.
only cool part that stands out in my head.
Really? I thought there was a few good, like, I think a lot of this would lend better to manga, where it'd be like a couple panels and everything. Because like you don't need a million punches in like manga versus like an anime, like to fill up the time. You kind of need a filler out the fight. I thought it was like interesting enough, because there was definitely a tactic to everything they did. It's just not a like extremely precise choreographed long fight, you know?
Yeah.
So.
I feel like the fights were like decently paced. I mean, you get to clearly see that each character doesn't want to excuse me. Each character doesn't want to draw the fight out, because either one, they don't want to waste time on some insignificant character, and two, it also points to how powerful each of the characters are, that when dealing with like an obstacle that they have to fight, that they deal with it and dispatch them really quickly, as opposed to when it was Nikaido versus Noi. Nikaido had the goal of, I'm going to get out of here, so I'm going to do it as quickly and efficiently as possible, so I don't take like any damage, or the least amount of damage as possible. If it was like, oh, let's go toe to toe, and like I want to, change your views on something, that'd be a different motivation behind the fight. That's why I feel like I wasn't really bothered by the length of the fights, because they all had purpose and they all had they served its purpose, and then it just kind of moved on. I did like the fight between the restaurant owners. I don't know if you guys remember that. Like that fight was really cool. And then when Kaiman was having the squabble between people, and then eventually the kid that turns people into food, I was like, dude, that guy's OP. I was rooting for him to find someone in the whole like festival thing, but unfortunately he ended up being the good guy and didn't get to progress, so he has to wait another year
seems like
or 4 years.
He has an OP power, but like his magic reserves are really small compared to somebody like Ed.
Yeah.
So like he has a really strong power, but he can't use it that often. He even commented like on his own tiredness. And I definitely get where you're coming from. Like, yeah, I don't expect every like anime fight to be like DBZ length, like span multiple episodes, But yeah, definitely some of the moments where they had to like escape and stuff like that. Yeah, it was perfectly fine. I also really liked another moment that stands out in my head that I just remembered was when I like, because the concept of the partner thing is really interesting to me, and I wish they leaned into that much more, because the part where like Sheen, goes in with no regard for his like arm, and then purposely gets his arm blown off, and then Noi heals it immediately, and then he follows through with the attack, is fucking dope as shit. And like I wish that happened way more when they fought together. That would have been like imagine fighting two people where one dude just flings himself at you, takes all your damage, and then instantly regens, over and over again. How terrifying would that be?
And he's strong as shit.
Yeah, for me it was more the creativity of the fights. I wish there was more of it, because we saw glimpses, but they didn't lean into it hard enough. Was more of my issue.
To that,
Hated me. Wow. Damn.
Josh hated your point. He hated it. Dude. Yo, Josh, how much did you hate Isha's point? Did you say that was stupid as fuck? He's like, I can't be here anymore.
No, I got disconnected. I heard silence and I was like, what's going on?
Oh, you can hear us fine though, right?
Yeah, I had to disconnect and connect again. Sorry.
Gotcha. Good stuff. I was gonna ask, going on your point, Ish, and just kind of being broad. You brought up the partnership thing. It's like, and I think there's a lot of like, thematically they're trying to bring that up a lot, because there's obviously the partnership between Nikaido and Kaiman, and then En's whole point is to find a partner who could be for him. I mean, was there any other themes or like messages you guys thought the show like try to hone in? I don't think a lot of them were very like, on your nose like a lot of the other shows you've watched, but like I think there could be some things extrapolated like subtly.
I think the biggest theme of the show is perspective.
Yes.
Because like, I mean, apart from like the really obvious perspective shifts constantly, I think the show tries to make you think about like what is good and what is evil, and like what who you should root for is always like a nice subversion that I really enjoy seeing. And like I said earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if like Kaiman's past is like really dark, and like he actually turns out to be like an antagonist in the end. Like I wouldn't be surprised, because they're teasing some evil thing really hard, and purposely clouding his backstory and like making him extra seem like a super nice, kind-hearted guy, and I can very easily see that being taken away from us.
Yeah.
Especially with the focus on the other characters and trying to make us feel attached to the sorcerers. So I think perspective is probably the biggest theme. It's a more obvious theme for sure. I'm trying to think of like more subtle ones. Maybe you guys have some examples.
I knew it was Last of Us too here.
I think the stance or the theme that the anime is trying to make a stance on is no matter what line or what origin you may come from, you can still have really strong values that still cater to treating people with a genuine honor basis. When it comes to, like, for example, Shin, he doesn't go around experimenting on people, even though he's a sorcerer, and that's the big thing that is a lot of the hatred surrounding the sorcerers with the humans, right? Is the experimentation and the manipulation of people that are weaker than you. But he knows that what it is to be, weaker and powerless. So in that sense, I feel like one of the themes is taking the harder road rather than like the easy route. Even if the whole crowd is doing something and they're like, oh, they condone it, and they're just like, oh yeah, it's cool. We mess with people's lives and we kill them haphazardly. You can still take the high road, but your hands are still like, no one's hands are clean in this in the world. Like there are no complete innocents. Like someone's gonna get hurt, and it's just you kind of navigating where you stand, and like you have to deal with the consequences. But yeah, ultimately it isn't like a good guys bad guys type of thing, which is very relevant to how media is a lot these days, and I feel like it's more important to point to that.
That's a really good point. I didn't even think of that at all, but I mean, that's from what you say with the examples and everything. I mean, that's fairly transparent. I think one of the themes that I thought was kind of shown was still going along with the partner thing, but just like the trust and transparency that you should give to like your close friends and the ones you care about, for that will kind of overcome. The show is never really normal in in an honest way, but the few times where it gets a little bit more emotional, I don't want to say emotional, but a little more heartfelt, is when Kaiman and talks in the Kaido and is very much hey, you should have told me it's okay that you're a sorcerer, and I guess it wraps around with the theme of acceptance. The acceptance that Kaiman was different looking, but you see the flashback where she didn't care about that and she wanted to help someone, even if maybe there's a guilt portion somewhere deep below there. But there's the acceptance there, and there's the transparency of telling him who you are and what what you know. The acceptance part with Ebisu and Fuchida, they accept each other despite both of them having obvious quirks and everything. Noi and Shin the devil and the hell part and everything, helping one another, the acceptance of what they are, what their past, where they came from, and how they got to where they are. So I thought that was maybe not as big of a theme as perspective, but something they just try to bring up in there. Yo, Ryan, give us a theme that you extrapolated.
So the thing is, not gonna lie to you, I didn't really look for themes.
It was kind of tough.
Yeah, I mainly watched it based off of alright, trying to objectively look at it and see, what this show is, what's it about, what can I take from it. And I mean, it's just yeah, no, with your points of perspective and trusting people, I totally agree with that. The more we talk about you know what, if you look at it, it makes a lot of sense. But me personally, me being not the good reviewer that I am, I didn't look at it like that at all. So I guess I need to start doing that.
There's definitely nothing wrong with that, though. It wasn't very obvious. It's just trying to pull something. But I think also the reason a lot of it wasn't obvious is what we've all been talking about. It's it feels very early on in the show, where that wasn't the main point. It was very much an introduction to the characters in the world, which were more than enough, to say the least, to keep you entertained. I was just curious if anyone grabbed anything from the little bit that we've been given.
Yeah,
I think that's enough for me. Sorry.
No worries.
Ryan is it's not that deep, but I like it.
Hey, but the whole is deep.
Hey,
Yeah, but the thing is, I would love to make it deep. I would love to be able to think about it from a different perspective, since I'm still in the process of adjusting how I view and objectively rate or look at shows, movies, books, stuff like that. Ever since I started hanging out with you guys, it's I would love to be able to start doing that, because it definitely makes it lets you be able to read into things a lot more clear, and it makes you like critically think a lot more than what you normally would, because you could just turn off your brain and watch any show and miss a lot of the themes that make a show great. So adjusting your mindset to be able to pull those points like you guys are doing, which I'm in the process of being able to do, is like it makes me have a more appreciation for the show and any given show. It could be literally anything. Like if I were to be able to guide, let's just use an example from our old podcast, like A Place Further Than the Universe. Like if they weren't so like blatantly like, okay, this is what the theme is, this is what you're gonna look at, this is what's gonna happen, and then you're just kind of like, okay, that's cool, but you don't really have to think about it. It's like, it's just kind of thrown in your face.
Yeah, like there is something to be said about whether it's a signifier quality or not. It is definitely much easier and more organic to discuss in depth about something that doesn't give you all the pieces immediately compared to something like Place Further or Sakamoto, where it just lays all the cards out in the first 10 minutes and then you're just kind of expected to deal with it. Right?
That's fair.
Like there's not much to investigate if the investigation results are already given to you in the beginning. From there, it's just interpreting them, right? Which is a separate activity.
I think it ties in a little bit with what I was saying about perspective, but like I just love, and we have talked about it a little bit, but I just love the fact that the show explores the like concept of an anti-villain, because anti-heroes are really common, I feel like, in a lot of shows and like anime and stuff like that. The concept of an anti-villain is also a thing, and like a lot of people forget about it. And like En's family is, I don't know, something about them. I just love them so much, like it's almost to the point where like I kind of want Nikaido and Kaimon to lose.
Yeah.
Like not like I don't want them to die, but like it's more like I don't want these two factions to fight. I just want everyone to get along, and try to understand each other. And like to me, what's beautiful about En's family is like I feel like they all care about each other, and they don't follow En out of fear. They follow him because they respect him, and he seems to have like good ideals, and like he owns a bunch of businesses. He's not outright just like destroying people. He only wants to defeat this other faction who's immediately threatening his own family, and I don't know. I just love that shit, and that's why I don't want anybody to die, which I think is the best part about the show, which is the characters, right? It just goes back to how much you care about all of them. I don't know. I just love that so much.
Do you think your opinion would change? Oh, sorry, Josh.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think your opinion would change if like you got to learn more about Kaimon and the instead of just like knowing more about En and his family?
Yeah, I mean, it could. What I would hope is that like when I learn about them more, it's like I go back to not knowing who to root for instead of rooting for En's family, instead of going to I root for them now. I would hope that I'm still more conflicted, but it could also go the other way. You never know. Like with her time magic BS, like who did she fuck up in her past? What if she's actually done some really fucked up shit? And you end up not rooting for her at all. Like I feel like it can go. The thing about the show is like I have no idea what the hell's gonna happen, and I love it. Right? That's my favorite part about all these types of things. Like any Guy Ritchie movie, like Kekkai Sensen, Bakano for a really long time. Bakano, nothing makes any goddamn sense, and then it all makes sense at the end. Like I love that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's possible. I mean, it's possible that I could end up rooting for somebody else later on, but I think that's going to be the fun of me when I start reading the manga.
Yeah, immediately when I finished it, first thing I thought was I need to read this manga. I want to know what happens.
Yeah, yes, he's saying a lot of it. It's just like, it's totally worth it. It's a lot more that happened. So like, I definitely think this is one of the animes that I'll actually start reading the manga on, because there's only been like 2 animes that I've done that with ever: Demon Slayer and Boku no Heroes, and like this kind of saying something for me personally.
That's fair. No, that's actually a good metric, honestly.
I was kind of curious with you guys if you happen to notice there was a lot of like kind of odd. I don't know if it's the magic that kind of like eschews things, but when they brought back Risu, his head on oh wait, I forget.
On a robot or whatever.
there was one Risu that was brought back on a robot body, and then there was one Risu that was the doll, the human doll. When it was a human doll Risu that went back to the apartment, I thought that Ebisu was dead. It was a weird kind of I don't know. It just like it stuck out to me. I'm like, what is going on? I thought he killed Fujita, and I thought he killed the doll killed Ebisu because like from the looks of it, like what I was just kind of curious to what your guys' opinion is if you want to go back to it.
So
Like what was the thing that the doll was like slurping up? Like I thought it was the entrails of Ebisu because he was holding her upside down with holding the box. I'm like, what is that?
So the thing you got to remember about like that crew of people is that as long as Noi is alive, it doesn't matter what the fuck happens to anybody.
Yep.
It's true.
So, doesn't matter what happens to anybody. She has the most OP power, quite frankly.
Yeah.
In terms of like non-destructive power, right?
Yeah.
Like as long as she's alive, and even barely alive, because she fixes herself after being like on the brink of death.
Shot in the head.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like as long as she can like open her mouth and like has like the will to like use her magic, she can fix anything basically, right? So
yeah. But
like what I mean is like they don't have to show it on screen is what I'm trying to say. Like
right. But I was just kind of curious though, like what was going on in that apartment? Like what was like it didn't like Noi didn't show up to there, but like there was a screaming. Like I don't know, like there was just so many. There was a gap between like what happened and like what there's no explanation to like Noi didn't come and heal them, yet they were still like they were attacked obviously, but like what I'm asking is like what was the slurping, or what was the Risu human doll like slurping up? Like, was it in the box? Like, that's what I want to know. Is like, what was
the
it?
way I see it, this is pretty straightforward. You just have to go with the Dorohedoro flow, which is don't overthink things because you will confuse the crap out of yourself. Like honestly, like the less I thought, the more I'm like, okay, now the show makes sense. Because when you try to hyperanalyze all of it, Dorohedoro is a very confusing and messed up experience. But if you just roll with it, it makes way more sense. So the box they were not able to open. Okay, only Shin opened the box when he interacted with it. So until that
he
point,
destroyed it. Yeah,
the box was never open. It was always locked and closed. He is definitely eating Ebisu at that point.
He
Whatever.
was. Okay.
She's half insane at this point. Probably can barely feel pain and is delirious. There's precedence in the show's logic of medical knowledge where even if your intestines are hanging out and getting wrecked, for some reason, people like even if you pass out and you lose a shit ton of blood, the time to death is a long ass time, right? Considering that for like a half an episode, Shin's walking around with his intestine casually hanging out, and at some point gets cut up and put in this magic soup thing, right?
Right.
Like you can't apply real world logic here just because everything is so batshit, right?
Why it just doesn't make sense to me. Why would the doll just like freak out like that though?
No, because
like,
the head. It was because of the head inside of the box, right? Like he freaked out as soon as Ebisu found the box.
Oh. All right. It just didn't make sense to me, and that was like the one thing that like was the freak out that like I didn't like. I couldn't piece together like what was going on in that scene, and I'm like I just don't get it. But yeah, I guess it it is what it is. But yeah, it's just a freak out.
I mean, I'm not saying.
I don't know. I always try to find the reason behind things. Like, if you're gonna have action that's so like jarring like that, like there's got to be a real good reason. But I don't know. That's just me.
Sometimes the world is just mad, my dude.
Yep. It really do just be like that sometimes, and I think there's no better time to use that phrase than now.
Yup.
What is your prediction for like what is the cause for Kaiman's head transformation? And what do you guys feel could be the like from your kind of intake of what the anime like showed to you? Like, what do you feel like could be around the corner?
Yeah. I've been thinking about it a lot. Obviously, there's only certain things I can guess, but based on like what we know so far, I feel like Kaimon is Aikawa, and Aikawa and Risu had some, intertwined history where Risu, sucked at magic, and the Cross-Eyed Gang seems to be a gang of people who all suck at magic, and that's how they like identify with each other. Which
Yeah.
goes back to everything we talked about before about perspective and family and everything like that. Like they all band together for a good reason. Like they're probably treated like outcasts in that world, right?
Yeah, strength in numbers.
Exactly. So Risu joined that, and it seems like Aikawa doesn't want him to like do anything with them, and is worried for his friend. So there's some shit that probably happens that we don't know about, right, between them. And obviously, I don't know the minor details. Haven't read the manga, but some shit happens. Maybe Risu has like, at some point, either Aikawa or Risu has some kind of evil thing inside of them that is in Kaimon's body now, right? Whatever that tease was, which I have no idea what the fuck that is. One of those two has that thing in them or something like that, and then somehow Aikawa's get Risu's head or something, and then this is the part where it's like really hazy and hard to predict, right? Because the body looks like Aikawa's body, and then at some point he gets a lizard head, and he has the same voice as Aikawa as well, and it seems like a similar personality as well. And they even show Aikawa's ability to be serious when he needs to be too, which Kaimon can also do. So something happens where he also gets a lizard head somehow, which I have no fucking clue whether it's Ebisu like interacts with them. But basically, the Cross-Eyed Gang is the key, and we need to learn more about them and their mysterious leader, who's like super under wraps for whatever reason, who lived because they showed N's confrontation with him, and then he walked away without a head. So he has some ability where he can like live even without his head. So maybe he leaves and then Aikawa runs into him or something. Maybe he's looking for Risu at the time or some shit. I don't fucking know. But point is, something happens like in that mix, and they honestly made it really hard to predict.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with the evidence I've gathered. But we still have no idea how like the points get to that end point. So. And then I don't know how what's her name Nikaido's like time travel is going to come into play either. And again, I am worried about that, so we'll see.
I was thinking something different, but I want to hear what your guys's the rest of you guys's predictions.
Me, Aikawa is Risu's friend, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I actually kind of suspect that maybe because the boss's head was cut off and he was like he's a tall dude walking away, right? And then so at least from a perspective standpoint, it looked like Kaimon was close to his height, and when he looked into the reflection, right, when he was in that pit under the demon temple or whatever, he saw the reflection of a giant dude with cross-eye tattoo. The only person of which we've seen kind of close to that description is the boss. So I'm wondering, like, if it's the body of the boss, but then like some ridiculous thing happened when he encountered Risu, which is like, and Risu's head was also cut off. So I don't know. There's probably like a weird interaction of like 3 or 4 other magic going on, which is why this is all super confusing and weird and very hard to figure out. But it would not be surprising to me if inside Kaimon is like a hodgepodge of a bunch of other people, right? Principal of which the base being Aikawa and the boss.
Yeah, the Aikawa and the boss are interacting in some way that we can't identify yet, right?
For all we know, Kaimon could have other heads in him too, or at least like influence in him.
Do we know for
That's a little weird.
Aikawa and the boss are different people?
We can assume so, but the thing is, we've never seen Aikawa's face on purpose. We've only seen like his sideburns. And he keeps telling Risu to stay away from the Cross-Eyed Gang, which doesn't necessarily mean that Aikawa isn't part of the gang / is their leader, but it leads you to believe that based on that wording.
Because
fucking-
Aikawa was the one in the end in the shadows, right? That attacks Kaiman, or at least it looks that way.
No, Aikawa's the guy that wears actually, amusingly enough, he also wears a gas mask. But
Yeah.
he's the guy with the gas mask and the head, like the
Er-
baseball cap backwards.
He attacks Nikaido.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. Because I remember the flashback, but in the very end, like when they're in the church or in the basement, wherever, and then someone in the darkness like attacks them. They're like, "Who did that?" Right? That was Aikawa, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it looks like it's Risu's face in Kaiman, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is going to be, but
Like they're all there somehow. Like there's the thing is this universe has magic, you know? So there's something happens and then magic happens, you know? And then all three of them are like there somehow, right? Like you got Risu's head, you got like the boss's body, Aikawa's personality or something. And then Ebisu's magic made him have a lizard head. I don't know. You know, like that's like one possibility, but who knows?
Someone stole Kaiman's head.
Yeah. He had a different head before he got the lizard head, right?
oh yeah.
No. He had a different head before the
They
lizard
stole
head.
the lizard
the lizard
head.
head got cut off, and he regrew another lizard head, and that lizard head got
It
stolen.
was End though, right? Because then they made the turkey out of that or something.
Yes.
No.
Wait,
They,
what?
I thought they had his lizard head, didn't they?
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
Did they not
we don't
steal
know
it? Because how did
did.
they make the turkey?
No,
The
they
turkey
made the
head, dude.
turkey by the magic. So the thing is, like, you think with the human doll, you think of the person and you put a little bit of your magic in because you have that personal connection, you have that personal memory.
Mm.
Then they throw in the ingredients. Then it made the Noi doll as a tester or as a demonstration.
Yeah, they used his spare head as a dissection tool. I remember that now.
Yeah, they were
Yeah, they were-
dissecting his head, and then it got
They were
stolen.
trying to, but then it got stolen.
But,
Yeah,
but we don't know who stole it.
Correct.
yeah, we don't know.
So there's other stuff going on here too.
We just need to learn more about the Cross-Eyed Gang,
Do
basically.
you guys think it's gonna be? I kind of have like a low theory where like I feel like the reveal is not gonna be that big of a deal in a weird way. They're just gonna like underplay it in like a comedic way because it's gonna be so batshit or it's gonna be something very like simple. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it's
probably
gonna be
could,
like
yeah.
I think it's built up on purpose to like throw off the reader when it's something completely else.
I think the reveal isn't going to matter. I think the reveal won't actually happen at the end. I think the reveal will happen, and then the last act of the story starts.
Yeah, I can
Like
see
the
that.
reveal will catalyze something.
Mhm.
I just want to know. I just want to know what the fuck that evil thing is. That was such a like strange out of nowhere detail that just came out, and I'm just like, what?
Wait, which
that
one?
seems really important to me. Like, there's a part where he
first
says
episode?
I have like this evil inside of me. It was in the last episode too. So I don't, dude. I have no fucking.
That's
clue.
not the body in him.
No. At least it didn't seem that way to me.
Damn.
He's not just talking about the body anymore. He's talking about something else. That's why I'm like, what the fuck is that thing? You know? So,
I think every
But-
theory we make will be kind of wrong,
yeah.
Probably.
which is the fun of it.
What do you think, Ryan?
What was that dude's name again with the backwards hat? This is the only one I don't remember because he was.
Aikawa.
Yeah, so I think he's possibly like Kaiman, like the same with everybody else said. I think they're like the same type of person, going into like super depth of like, you know, everything else. I really didn't make any base assumptions. I only kind of like read what I like watched.
Yeah.
Read into like what I watched, which is what I assumed that it would be, and then you guys are bringing up points that I think I missed, and I'm just like, wait a minute, like I've seen this, but I didn't put two and two together, so it's making a lot more sense to me. But the only thing I've like can possibly come up with is that guy is Kaiman, and then they have some form of relationship together or some form. So I'm like, I'm thinking more and more about it. It just makes me want to read the manga more.
I have a prediction that actually Nikaido used her, and this is based off of like her interaction with that one sorcerer that was outside the restaurant, and he looked like he was down on his luck about to like starve or whatever, and she took care of him. I feel like the situation might have been the same with Kaiman before, and somehow, some way, uh, during their past interactions, she still has like really strong ties to him. But as his memories were kind of like wiped and such, she still feels like a responsibility to like kind of like look after him and like try and help him get to his get to his normal face. That's what I feel is like kind of the real motivation behind Nikaido like trying to be there. But then also I feel like through her actions, she's not genuinely trying to like push for Kaiman to return back to normal. Like she's helping him going through the motions, but I don't feel like it's like there's no sense of urgency with her to like help him get that. Like she'll go through the motions, but I just feel like she's happy with how things are. But I feel like the reason being is like they had something in their past where she feels guilty of, and that's why she's going through those, going through the the effort of doing that. And I also feel like with Kaiman's head, I feel like the idea of Ebisu's magic being sold in a bottle, somehow, some way that's tied to how Kaiman has a lizard head. It's not necessarily Ebisu herself, but her magic sold, and then someone using that on him. That's my prediction of like where the follow up seasons could go down. But everything else, I'm just kind of like I'll just take it as it is. But that was the only thing that I was kind of formulating out of everything that was shown on screen.
Yeah, the Ebisu magic thing, I agree with. Like, that's kind of what I was trying to say, was because like, there's a reason why they focused on the like her powder. Like it was in the shop where Nikaido, took that dude out, and then they even like tested it and everything like that. So, it's kind of like, I don't know. I agree with you. I think that is important. And with Nikaido's like motivation, it seems a little inconsistent to me because like she
Right.
seems to be like she seems to be like his really good friend and really like respects him and everything like that. And the way the flashbacks are presented, it seems like she had no idea who he was before she found him. But then she claims to like love him, without really saying it, like love him like a good friend and stuff. But then when he goes into the sorcerer's world, it takes her like 4 days to be like, I'm gonna go after him. Like he's in there for quite a while. And you could argue maybe she's just respecting, the distance that he wanted or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. Like her playing into everything, I don't know if it's going to be anything more than she had a fucked up past, and maybe she's just trying to be a good person now. I don't think it'll be anything more. It may not be anything more than that. I don't think that they'll have any crazy intertwined destiny or anything like that. But I'm definitely curious.
I don't believe in destiny, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean. Anime destiny.
Yeah. I got you.
No Siri Geralt relationship here.
I mean, literally in this show, Kaimon walks past Risu, and they look back, right? I mean, there is like some bullshit destiny stuff like that can still happen in the show. So, what I'm saying is I don't think Nikaido and Kaimon are gonna have like a past or something that they don't know about. I don't know. I really hope they don't do that.
No, that makes sense.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, does anybody have anything else to say about like predictions for what you guys think are gonna happen?
I predict it'll be entertaining.
I will say I did read that like because I was looking into like where the manga picks up from the anime, like where to start reading basically, and a lot of people are saying to just reread it.
Is it different enough?
Yeah, people are saying like there's enough details that like weren't adapted, and it also kind of eases you into the art style when you've already seen the anime first. So the combination of those two things, a lot of people are recommending to just reread it, and quite frankly, it starts off at chapter 40 or something, which isn't really that much,
Is it over?
Yeah, it ended. It has ended. Yeah, and I have a couple friends that have been recommending the manga to me, so I'll definitely pick it up. So, is there anything else you guys wanted to bring up or talk about though? before we close?
What's the next anime?
Yeah, so next time we're gonna discuss No Guns Life by Studio Madhouse. So that'll be interesting. That was a
Who's
Vicky.
the? Oh yes, Biggie. Yes. Who was the studio that did Dorohedoro? Mappa.
And Mappa is becoming. This is a side point.
Amusingly,
It's
the
amazing.
Dororo. Yeah, they did Dororo, then they have this, and then God of High School is looking kind of sick. So
They're also doing Attack on Titan.
Yep.
oh yeah, they're doing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was looking through their history, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pull it up quickly, but actually, yes, I can because I have it right here. But like, just even looking at
They're
their
so good.
history, I mean, they did Kids on the Slope, they did one of the Hajime no Ippo, they did Terran in Residence, Garo, Rage of Bahamut, Yuri on Ice, so Banana Fish, which is a personal favorite, and Doro. So they've done a lot of good stuff, and it seems like they're relatively newish in terms of, I don't know if they came from another studio or just a new studio, but they have a lot of high profile stuff coming up, so I think they're one to look out for in the future.
Oh, it's founded by an ex-producer of Madhouse.
That
They also
makes a lot of sense.
That makes a lot of sense. They also did Sarazanmai, which is like an acid trip of like color and animation. So this is a logical leap from that. So
It's different though. It's like, unlike Madhouse, which is like very good at making they're amazing and they're very clean and it's very clean animation. This one has a lot of like personality thrown into it.
Yeah, they make stuff look really dirty, but also like purposeful dirty. If that makes sense.
they're also doing Jujutsu Kaisen, by the way, which is like a really big shonen manga right now. So
Is that a
that's one to look for.
Mm.
Is that a what?
Is that a webtoon?
No, I think it's just manga. It's like in Shonen Jump.
Oh, I see the author sounded Korean, so I was just assuming because I know there's a bunch of webtoons.
Wow, assuming. God,
Well, I mean, I think he is Korean, but
Assume.
Yeah.
God, assuming.
oh, it's
God.
just the director. The director's Korean. My mistake. Yeah.
God,
Shut up, Ryan.
The thing
But yeah,
where it's like the witch's finger and all
Yes.
that crap.
Yeah. It's about like witch hunters or whatever. But yeah, anyway, if there's nothing else, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Later, guys.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, if just signing out, I'm the Abandoned Hero, and it'd be really cool if you guys would check out my YouTube channel. I do weekly videos either on DIY. This week I released a cosplay countdown or cosplay convention countdown of cons that we won't be going to in 2020 because of the whole pandemic and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, it'd be cool to have you guys join and check out my Instagram because I do uploads there too.
And check out my channel as well, Baja Irish Rico, as my name portrays. Do a bunch of stuff on video games, animes, and comics.
We're just normal.
Yeah.
It's just normal. You know what? Nah, Nate joined us, and now it's a civil war. So if you don't have a side project on
Civil
top
war.
of your anime podcast, then I don't know who you is.
It's 3v3, all right. It's still a fair
Hey,
fight.
Ryan cosplays too. Don't
Every now and
downplay.
again, and I discuss video games, but like a friend to friend level, not like religiously. But hey, you never know. We might start up something about that. So
Yeah,
so
you
what I'm
guys need to
hearing
get me
is
into
the three-
video
The three
games.
of us will start a company, and it'll compete with each of them's individual content creation platforms.
Hey, we're not competing. There's a whole bunch of time on people's hands, and they could spend it however which way they want to.
You watch Josh's channel and not mine? Why would you? How could you
Riot.
do that to me? I'm just kidding.
Riot.
we're
Mine was
absolutely
established in
competing.
2015. Okay.
I started my. I did mine in 2015 too. I just kind of did be dip for a while.
I had
You
to
also
redo my
just
channel
gave
because
me
I
the-
made mine with college email in it.
Oh, dude, that sucks. I never knew that. That's
Yeah.
rough.
And you also just gave me the link to your YouTube channel, maybe like 6 months ago?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, it was a little rough.
months ago. 3 months ago?
YouTube.com/the Abandoned Hero. TheAbeyanthero.
When I hit my threshold, then I'll be able to make it r/ or whatever Baja Irish Rico. But as of currently, it's just a random URL because I don't have the sub count.
I think they changed that.
I think it's still 100
but
subs, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
Y'all are
But
wild.
yeah.
Big sad.
Speaking of threshold, I think it's that threshold where we do our
Leave.
jingle.
Oh god.
Hey. So we got 5 minutes to hit the 2 hour point. So if you guys just want to, a longer song this time, I think we can get to it.
Wait.
I think we should we think we should try and do something.
If you guys do that, we should see how fast we can like sign off.
Well, we should
start
we can
singing.
I can start the bass line and then someone just do a higher pitch and then higher pitch until.
Well, like, oh, and
Who's
then,
doing
like,
the beat?
So yeah, let's just.
Was he
This is-
slow?
This better be all bloopers.
Was he slow?
So bad.
I don't know if anyone's seen Baby Driver, but I'm
No,
kind
I've
of
seen it. It's good.
tripping
It's a
off
great
of
movie.
that.
Baby Driver.
Whoa.
Baby Driver.
Whoa.
Great, yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'm
Thanks,
just gonna do
guys.
it.
Tune in next time.
Ryan just gonna quietly slip away.
That's it. I'm just gonna do it. I guess
So-
I'll be the
someone
last one
end
to
it.
do it.
Tune in next time. Thanks, guys.